Hey everyone, good morning. Yeah, you see the title here, and I want to thank you all for watching live. But you see the title there. Yes, just moments ago, about 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes ago, um, what everybody feared or predicted would happen has occurred. 3-2 vote in favor of repelling net neutrality. Now, for any of us that watched it, depending on how we watched it, whether it was through the streaming services at the streaming video at FCC, YouTube, ABC News' YouTube page, the Washington Post YouTube page, you name it, we pretty much all witnessed exactly what was going to happen. Now, to say that a lot of people and companies and corporations online, what have you, are disappointed in this is beyond words because a lot of people currently are. Netflix US, Netflix on the Twitter account pretty much said they're disappointed and that they will be part of the long and that they will support or trying to get this back, trying to make sure it doesn't die completely. And that's one thing I do want to inform people of. Just because net neutrality was repelled today doesn't mean net neutrality is totally gone. You see, it won't be entirely demolished, um, depending on what outcomes happen. Like I said in an earlier video, um, it's still got to go to the federal registration. And in between this time and that time, and in between the next 9 months, 9 to 10 months, the next year, because everybody's saying that it won't, that despite the fact that many feel that we lost today as consumers, as corporations, all the, corporations, online services and all that, that depended on net neutrality. You know, some people have said that even though we lost or we're going to lose, nothing's really going to take effect until for another year because there's a lot of companies that are locked into agreements that go until fall, winter of next year, winter, spring of 2019, and somewhat, I think, even into 2020. Now, yes, a lot of people fear that we're still going to see a lot of differences, a lot of changes, or not huge changes, but subtle changes, changes that may not be noticeable, but they'll be there. I'll give you an example. My cable bill came in a couple of days ago, and it jumped up from its usual 250 spot to about $50 more. Now, I don't know what I spent or what I did, but if that's an indication of what could happen, and if that's the worst that these corporations, these ISP providers are capable of doing, then yeah, it's wrong for them to do. But if that's the worst, then you know what? I'm right now until right now until net neutrality is preserved and brought to the forefront again as saying, hey, this is something that needs to remain. This is something that uh, needs to stay in some form of capacity. Then I then honestly I don't have a problem with maybe a $50 increase, a $30 increase. I can tolerate that. A lot of us can tolerate that if that's all we're getting. If we're going to end up with service packages down the line, then that's another story. Because if what many people are fearing, because okay, because one of the examples people keep constantly using when it comes to these proposed service packages is $10, $5, depending on the package. So if we have to spend an additional $30 all around, then I'm sure that's a sacrifice we'll be willing to make if it's going to ensure that we'll at least have somewhat of an internet that we had when we had net neutrality. Now, now as far as the hearing went, basically the two ladies that were against this really poured their hearts out, and basically both said that this is going to end up in court. Pretty much they both confirmed that. Um, The first lady that spoke up that was against this pretty much said towards the end of her rebuttal, or as she put it, her eulogy, she pretty much said that thankfully they don't have the final say. They don't have the true final vote. Amen to that. And I do agree. Amen to the fact that they don't have the final say. They don't have the final vote. That all they did today was vote on a plan to repel the internet and take Title II and bring it back to Title I. But like she said, thank goodness we do not, they, I should say, do not have the final say in the whole matter. I mean, both brought up that Congress may have to will probably get, that they may have to bring this to Congress, that the courts will be, that, but basically both reiterated what a lot of us have said and what they have said and what many people have said. They pointed out how Congress has been ignored at times. Those in Congress, Republican and Democrat, that have tried to ask to delay the vote. They've brought up all the scenario on a worldwide on a nationwide worldwide basis. So so I thank God for those two ladies. I really thank God for those two ladies pouring their hearts out and saying, look, what you're doing is wrong. It's distasteful. We are not going to stand for it. And what this is just the beginning of a long, bumpy road for consumers, for corporations, small and up and coming, businesses up and coming, schools, academics, you name it. They depend on something like net neutrality to help them out. So those ladies are right about that. The fact that it's not going to end yet, and that they both are going to ensure that, I mean, they didn't straight out say it, but they both basically ensured that they're going to do whatever it takes, along with everybody else that hates this repeal, hate this decision that was made. They're going to do whatever it takes to make sure things are done justly. I mean, the second Democratic lady that talked about this said just that she's going to make sure that things are done in a just way, that things that in a way that we get net neutrality back, but we get it back in a just way. We don't know honestly what's going to happen. Really, we don't know what's going to happen in between now and September of 2018 because I'm a Comcast. Me and my mom and my older sister, we have Comcast. My second older sister has AT&T. So I can only imagine what their reactions are going to be if one day they get something in the mail that says, "Oh, by the way, something in the mail that goes like, let's say, something like, "Oh, by the way, dear Mrs. Walmer, or dear Mr. Walmer, or dear Mr. and Mrs. Armis, or dear Mr. and Mrs. Coda, we are hereby at AT&T proudly to inform you that now we are going to be offering service packages on the internet. You want social media packages between Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and all them? That'll be $10. You can get that at an additional $10 a month. That's right, $10 a month. You want search engines? You can get that for an additional $5 a month. That's $15 on the dollar. That's right. Imagine, imagine families like mine that don't know about this, waking up one day, going to the mail, seeing that in the mail, reading it, and going like, "What the blank is this?" You know? I mean, my second oldest sister, can use colorful language. Believe me, if she gets this, because one of the things they did say that we may or may not agree with is that whatever this whole situation is with the FTC and such, this whole deal is, one of the things that has to be the providers have to do is let us know what they're going to do, what they plan to do. And if by letting us know that they plan to do service packages, which a lot of people fear could be the outcome. A lot of people can be the outcome of the whole situation. A lot of people fear this. Can you imagine how families would react to that? That don't know what's going on. They hear about it, but they don't give it a second thought, thinking, "Oh, probably it's not that bad." Believe me, it's bad. It's bad. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that all five individuals didn't bring up good points. The two ladies definitely fought hard to bring up good points. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can bring that up. I'm going to try to find that somewhere. Hold on. I'm going to try to find their name so I can give it to you real quickly. One person here called Jake Solkin basically has a picture of a Jeep Pie on there saying, "You just pissed off the internet. That's not smart." And it isn't. You have Ed Markley here. Here's something that Senator Markley just put out 2 minutes ago. He says he plans to introduce a Congressional Review Act resolution that would restore the open internet order and reverse the FCC's historical mistake of repelling net neutrality. The fight is far from over. And he even shows what he has here. Well, he shows a paper that would basically be used to do that. So yeah, the fight is not over. The fight's not over. Heck, Jaya Hampton says it's not over yet, and we still have to. It's not over yet. Y'all still has to go and call Congress. Text resist to 50409. Let's see. Oh, here she is. Well, it doesn't say her name. Trying to find where it's at. Okay, this is what Jingle Dell or Delastraw said. Put on their Twitters. They said, "Please retweet this to let everyone know. Don't freak out." This is what at Delastra, Dellstra said on their Twitter. Well, they posted on this Twitter. They said, "Please retweet this to let everyone know. Don't freak out. The FCC just vote. The FCC. They put this in caps. Well, the caps is of course for FCC anyway. But then they put just in caps. They said the FCC just voted to repeal net neutrality. Now this is what they say, and they capitalized all this. But it's not over yet. Congress has to make the final decision. Don't freak out yet. Keep calling your representatives. Keep calling Congress. Keep signing petitions. We can do it, guys. It's not over." And that's pretty much what I've been saying. That's pretty much what Angry Joe has been saying. That's pretty much what Channel Awesome Doug Walker has been saying. You know, anybody that's against what's happened today has been saying. We, and this is what the lady, and I'm trying to find what her name is. Trying to find what her name is. Hold on, folks. I'm trying to find her name. Oh, here it is. I think this is her name. Let me check. Yeah, Minga Cyburn or Slyburn. Mingan Slyburn. Um, Basically, she poured her heart out, and she even announced, and she even put this here 20 hours ago. She said next Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, she will host a Save Net Neutrality online town hall via Twitter. Stay tuned for more details. And she will host that at 2 p.m. Eastern. Basically, She will host a Save Net Neutrality online town hall via Twitter. So that's going to help out in the long run. And then this lady, I think her name was what, Jessica or Jennifer was her name. I can't really think about it right now. Hold on for a sec. But the other lady, I think her name was Jennifer. I think I'm not really sure, but she basically, poured her heart out as well, and she basically said it's wrong to do, and she brought up academic thing, what it could affect. I mean, both ladies brought up the fact that just because both ladies brought up the fact that we companies these ISP providers, they say they're not going to do this, they say they're not going to do that, but guess what, they're already doing it. They're already doing it. So yeah, pretty much these guys, pretty much they're pointing out everything you're saying. I mean, heck, the lady, I mean, uh, Maggie, Cyburn, MC, I'm just going to call it MC for short. She even brought up of a whole stack of letter in folders of people. She just brought up a lot of. She basically brought out. What can I use for an example? She basically brought out a whole thing like this, two of them. They had letters and everything from, I think, not just consumers, but from everybody, pointing out why it shouldn't happen, probably pointing out the evidence, stuff like that. She brought up a whole freaking table's worth of why this shouldn't be, of why this shouldn't happen. She brought up everything. I mean, the other lady, the Jennifer lady, I think that was her name. She even brought up the fact, um, she even brought up the fact. Sorry about that. That by doing this, they are stifling creativity. They are hurting. They're going to stifle creativity and stuff. And that's true. I mean, there's a lot of us on the internet. Lightning Bliss, who's probably going to be watching, who hopefully you're watching. I wish you a Merry Christmas, Lightning, you and your family. But Lightning Bliss, Angry Joe, everybody that's watching this, watching me speak right now, they are very creative. Lightning Bliss, Silver Quill, Josh Scorcher, all of them are main people, are main components in what's known as the Rift Cafe of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic community, which is a huge fan base that encompasses of all encompasses and welcomes all fans of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It encompasses them. It listens to them. Heck, Dr. Wolf even did a video helping out a fan and a new fan to the Rift Cafe or something like that about powers of alicorn. The point is their creativity, according to what Jennifer said here, this Jennifer lady said here, basically would be stifled because of this decision. And it shouldn't be stifled. My mom is planning to go back to school next spring, starting in January. Can you imagine what her reaction would be? She's gonna get online, probably do some research for homework and assignments she gets. What's gonna happen if down that line, not saying it will, because Comcast is still locked into that freaking agreement from net neutrality until late next year. What's going to happen if she goes on there, let's say for the sake of argument, and she wants to go to Google, like what I'm looking at right now, and all of a sudden it says, sorry, you must pay $5.99 for Google services or add Google as part of your $10 package for search engines. How do you think she's going to feel? She's not going to be happy about this. And that's where the academic thing comes in, because a lot of schools do use the internet today, to search, to do research on papers and all that without restriction. People use artistic websites like DeviantArt to express the artistic side, to sometimes promote an upcoming video, an upcoming video on the YouTube channel or the Vimeo channel. They use DeviantArt to do that. You think they're going to be happy if they find out DeviantArt's part of a package that you have to pay $10 for? No, they're not going to be happy. Angry Joe Vargas, James Wolfe, Cinemascope.com, Angry Video Game Nerd, Doug Walker, they use YouTube, they use Vimeo, they use any site they can to upload videos, even Facebook, of the content that they create, their artistic content of Nostalgia Critic, Angry Joe, Angry Video Game Nerd, Rob the Wonderful, Bob Show. These people use Vega, Linkara, Atop the Fourth Wall. The list could go on. Cinema Snob, you name it. They use YouTube and YouTube and Screenwave and all these places to express their creativity, to expand on the creative process of, expanding on what they do for a living, like Atop the Fourth Wall, Angry Video Game Nerd, Nostalgia Critic, Angry Joe, Bob Show, you name it. And yet, there's the fear that the only way they could continue that creativity is they would have to pay for a package at $10 a month in addition to the internet connection already, or they'll have to pay an additional 20, $30 for internet to keep it the way it is, just so they can continue doing the creative freedom. And that shouldn't be. They shouldn't have to rely. I mean, do you think Joe Vargas, who likes to go on here, has already had Joe Vargas, Angry Joe? You think he's gonna like the fact that he's gonna have to pay $10 extra to have YouTube as part of a package that may include Facebook and Twitch and Steam and and Netflix and all that? $10 a month and 10 additional dollars because that's the only way he'll be able to continue because the ISPs don't care. He's not gonna like that. Nobody's gonna like that. You think Cartoon Palooza, and I thank you for liking this Cartoon Palooza, Joey. You think he's gonna like this? No. He uses YouTube and Vimeo as well. Do you think he's gonna like the fact of, oh well, I can't wait to do Okay, I got the next episode of Cartoon Palooza ready up and ready to go. Time to go to YouTube and upload it. And all of a sudden he gets a message saying, sorry, sorry consumer, or sorry Mr. Palooza, you have to pay $10 extra to use YouTube, or $2 extra to use YouTube, or pay $10 for the package that includes YouTube. You think he's gonna like that? Think Cartoon Palooza's gonna like that? No, they're not gonna like that. They're not gonna like that at all. You think? Excuse me for a sec. Sorry about that. I had to let my dog in. But again, as I was trying to say, you think people like Cartoon Palooza, Huey Toonmore, Animat, well, not Animat, but do you think any of these people are going to appreciate this? I mean, the two ladies even brought up the fact that this is not just going to affect the consumers and the small businesses and the corporations and the streaming companies and all that that depend on net neutrality, to grow and expand on a national basis. It's gonna affect on a worldwide basis because there are people like even Animat that depend on having a U.S. audience. Animat, Zero Nazareth Act. They depend on having a U.S. audience that will not have that audience anymore because of the fact that that audience is going to have to pay extra. And here's the biggest fear. What happens here could be influential to North America's neighbor, Canada, or our neighbor in Mexico. You can't tell me that the Canadian government, let's say, let's play advocate here. Let's say this whole thing becomes reality. Nothing stops it. Do you think the Canadian government's not going to look at this and go like, they were successful in getting that done, and they were successful in getting other people to pay extra fees or increase the internet price. Maybe we should do that here in Canada. Or someone in Mexico going the same way, thinking, our neighbors up north in America got this done. Maybe we should do that here in Mexico. The point is, it has huge ramifications that are not necessary, and they shouldn't be necessary. And IT Pi knows this. IT Pi knows this. Now, again, I'm not going to say that despite how you feel about his decision to do this, and yes, it's a dumb decision and it's going to blow up in his face. He pretty much knows that. He pretty much knows that, even though he won the war, even though he won the battle today to repel net neutrality, Congress, House of Representatives, people that in those areas, in Congress and in the House of Representatives, people, Democrat and Republican, that have asked him to delay the vote, asked him to wait until certain investigations were handled and certain situations were taken care of. Do you not think he doesn't realize what he's gotten himself into? Because he does. He does. And he may be able to say, yeah, I'm the one that started the vote I'm the one that started the process to repel net neutrality. He could be proud to say that. But the thing is, he'll also have to be the one to say, yep, I'm the one that started that repel, but I'm also the one that failed on making it a reality. Because a lot of what he said is invalid in the eyes of a lot of people. Now, some people who side with him, some consumers, some people out there, regular consumers, and small businesses and corporations that may side with him, and there are those people out there, and there are those businesses, small and medium sized, that will side with him. You know, they may say that, he has a point, that, he made some valid arguments and gave valid reasonings and valid arguments as to why this has to happen, and that what he's planning to do is a good thing. And that's their opinion. Maybe they'll be right. We don't know. The truth is, in the end, though, what's happening is not good. It's not good in the eyes of a lot of people because it's like, why does this need to happen? Now, I know some people would ask, well, what's the big deal about net neutrality? The big deal about net neutrality is being able to go through the internet like we are right now and not have to worry about, oh, I want to go to DeviantArt, and all of a sudden DeviantArt is unaccessible because of the fact that it's either not part of a package, or the broadband companies, providers of the ISPs, feel it's unwatchable, or it's illegal, or whatever. Or even if they still allow you to go to these sites, people are afraid that you may have to go to a site, and next thing you know, let's say, well, what time is it right now? It's to 1104 or 1108, I should say. They're afraid that, yeah, you can go to DeviantArt, you'll still be able to go to these sites, but it'll take you about 4 minutes just to have a complete page load. Or with Netflix, like I mentioned in one video earlier. You think people are going to appreciate having to sit through 3 hours or 2.5 hours of an 80-minute or 90-minute movie? No. And the reason that would happen is because the providers would be like, oh, 5 minutes in, let's stop them. Okay, let it go. 5 minutes in, 10, and then 20 minutes later, at the end, basically that's what they're afraid of. Because this is what these ladies were trying to say. This is what a lot of people are pointing out, which is basically the evidence that's going to go against Pi's decision. Now, like that one person I mentioned on Twitter, I mentioned about that's on Twitter said, we shouldn't freak out because we're not the ones that have. They're not the ones that have the final say. It's like that Slyburn said, like that lady that's holding the town hall meeting, the town hall deal on Tuesday said, thank God we don't have. Thank God they don't have the final vote. And there are many people in Congress and in the House of Representatives that I can guarantee, she can guarantee, that Jennifer Lady can guarantee, people that have fought against this and all that have guaranteed are not going to let this pass. People at the Supreme Courts, the U.S. Court of Appeals that are probably against this and probably see the evidence presented before them, even before it gets presented before them, know that this is not going to pass, that, they'll give IG Pie all the credit in the world for at least being the first to try to, repel against net neutrality, be the first to have a vote against it pass. But that's all that's going to happen. That's all he's going to be able to hang his hat on is, oh, I was able to start the repel, but I wasn't able to finish it because nobody wants it. But you see, this is where we have to look at what I said before. We have to look at the fact that the next 9 months are going to be very telling. Now, according to sources, this repel, this vote won't, this repel a vote won't officially be given the next step to proceed until federal registration signs on it or agrees on it. And and according to some sources, that's between early 2018. And if you look at that from a business perspective, from a company perspective, that's like every quarter. So early 2018 could be anywhere between January and April or January and May, which means any time between these upcoming 3 to 4 months, a lot can go down, and it probably will. And it won't be pretty. It won't be pretty for IG Pie and the two guys that voted for this to happen. Now, like I said, people will come to the defense and say, yeah. Now, some people will come to the defense and say, look, they might lose the war on this whole repel net neutrality, restore internet order, freedom order, whatever. They might lose the war or in the end, but you cannot disagree they didn't bring up some valid arguments. People will say that. People will say, well, people will say that all three that voted for this repeal to happen, brought up the fact that nothing's really going to change, that there will be no difference in the internet that you have. The only difference is now providers will have a little bit more leeway, but they're even saying that those providers could be on a leash because mainly what this is doing is giving the FTC back power, giving back the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, power to decide, whether something that they see the providers are doing is wrong, or whatever the case may be. But still, nobody's buying that. Nobody's believing that. And what I see happening, and I said this in my other video, and I'll say it again, is once this goes to court, and maybe even beyond that to the Supreme Court, if not to Congress and the House of Representatives, you name it, don't be surprised that a lot of the agreements that your internet providers have made through the net neutrality deal that either expire next year somewhat next year, late, mid, whatever next year, or even in the following years, don't be surprised if they come out and decide to extend those um, those agreements because they want to save face. Because let's say that this goes to Congress and Congress says, let's put it to a vote. Let's let the people vote in the election of whether or not this becomes reality. That is what a lot of people are hoping, that Congress will come out. That if Congress gets involved, the House of Representatives gets involved, and the Court of Appeals gets involved, and maybe even the Supreme Court, that one of the decisions, if not the decision made, is that they put this to a vote for the people, that they let the people vote in the next elections whether or not this new ruling of IG pies becomes reality. Because what they're going to probably ask of him to do, if he wants this to become real, is to come out and explain to the people. Explain to the people why this is happening, why this is a good thing, and why it's going to benefit us and not the corporations that we fear it's going to benefit the most. They're going to ask for him to write up, type up a legit reasoning. And you know what's going to happen is he may do that, him and his team may do that, but in the end, it's not going to do them any good because they may bring up valid points. Like many people will argue that he and his two other Republican buddies brought up this morning. They may bring up valid points, but in the end, nobody's going to want to listen to that crap because they know it's a bunch of BS. They know that. They know it's a bunch of BS. And the only way that IG Pie and his two Republican buddies can prove us wrong is to make sure what they say is not going to happen doesn't happen. That's the only way they can prove themselves right, is if they make sure what they say isn't going to happen won't happen. Because we know, the two ladies that voted against this know, and everybody that's ready to go to court and to legal battles and all that and go to Congress with it in the end and have the final say, we all know, they all know, that unless IG Pie and his two buddies can prove us wrong, that everything they spewed out of their mouth today was nothing but a bunch of crap that's going to blow up in their face, and they know it. They know it, or in the long run. They know that I guarantee you, IG Pie, the moment he walks out of that room, boom, for the day, he's going to sit down in his office and he's going to be like, oh, he's going to have this thought process going through his head. It's just my opinion, but I have this feeling he's going to have this look on his face and his thought process is going through his head of, did I make the right choice? Did I do the right thing? Because I guarantee you, he and the two Republicans that voted for this Repel are going to realize they probably are in for a shit storm, excuse my language, God, a shit storm of legal battles heading their way, heading the way of the ISP providers. And they know that they know they could probably tip their glass and say, yep, we won the battle today. But they're going to realize that, yeah, we won the battle, but we're probably going to lose the war. Because, like I said, both those ladies pretty much brought up the fact that, hey, it ain't over. It's not over yet. It's probably go to courts. That First Lady Slyburn, she brought up the fact that, again, she said amen to it by saying, thank God we don't have the FCC don't have the final say in the whole matter. Because she knows, and she brought up a lot of people from Congress that were part of Congress, Senate, House of Representatives, all these people, even the internet founders, basically brought up the right. Basically, what I'm saying is she, along with the Jennifer lady, they said what was needed. They said what was the correct things that needed to be said. They said what was needed to be heard. They took the opportunity on a nationwide, worldwide basis to say what was needed, to say what was in their hearts, to say what they know is the truth. And pretty much, in the eyes of a lot of people watching this morning, seal the deal for keeping net neutrality. Because even though the vote was passed to repel it, they know, both of them know that what they said today saved the internet, or at least started the process of saving net neutrality and keeping an open and free internet. Because they know what was coming out of Pi, because they know, with all due respect to Pi, because they probably have respect for the guy, they know that what came out of his mouth and out of the fellow FCC Republican's mouth is nothing but a bunch of crap. And unless those guys can prove us wrong, unless they can prove that what they said is true, what they said is true, what happens starting after the holiday break is just the beginning of a long battle, long legal battle that I guarantee is going to end before any of the agreements, even Comcast agreement or AT&T's agreements under the net neutrality deal, are over. And like I said, don't be surprised. And maybe it's me, maybe it's my opinion, but don't be surprised if you get an extension, uh, uh, some kind of, or you hear about some kind of extension being made on these agreements by your providers so that they can wait out whatever happens in court and in Congress and in the election. Because because if a vote is given to the people to either go the Pi route or go the net neutrality route, which will probably be the net neutrality route, despite all the valid arguments and reasonings Pi could come up with, providers are going to want to be the first to come out and say, "Oh yeah, we knew net neutrality was going to remain. Yeah, we knew about that. That's why we kept the extension. That's why we extended the agreement a little bit because we wanted to make sure net neutrality was going to remain. They were going to stay. Yeah, they'll be quick. That's how businesses are. Despite whether you work for a business or you don't, that's how corporations are. Whether you work for them or you don't, whether you're outspoken about them or you're not, that's how they are. If something doesn't go in their favor, what happens? They start to side with the people that fought against them. It's just like, me being a wrestling fan, it's just like in wrestling. I remember watching, I can recall watching the WWE Network, which is, I'm pretty sure, another, opponent of this whole ruling by Pi, the WWE, that is. I can guarantee, I remember I was watching Clash of the Champions on the WWE Network, and it was after the match where Steve McMichael had become U.S. champion. It was after the match. He had beat Jeff Jarrett. And Steve McMichael's wife at the time, Deborah, storyline wise, had sided with Jarrett. She had sided with him for who knows what reason. Maybe she wanted to stay in the spotlight. Well, basically, her character was like, she'll do anything to stay in the spotlight. She'll do anything, or whatever. So what happens after McMichael wins back the U.S. title? She starts kissing up to him and trying to side with him again, saying, "Oh, I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it." And he basically yanked the U.S. title away, pushed her away, and say, "Hey, I'm buying it. I'm buying your crap. I'm done with this." And that is exactly how it is here. That is how it is here. A lot of people, and that's are looking at it that same way. That they're looking at what Pi and the two representatives, anybody else that side with them, as being like Deborah McMichael during that time. Oh, I knew, not Pi and all that, but they look at the providers as being like Deborah McMichael. Like, she turns her back on Steve to side with Jeff. Jeff being like, let's say, the FCC and Pi and all that. Jeff at that time representing IG Pi and all them. She turns her back on McMichael, who's like, the consumer, the people that are for net neutrality, because she feels, hey, she's going to the winning side. But when McMichael won the U.S. title back from Jarrett, what does she do? First thing she tries to do is kiss up to him, saying, "Oh, I knew you could do it. I knew that." That's how they look at. That's how consumers and the people, the ladies that were against this, the people, the organizations or associations, and all that, Congress, all the people, every facet, if you will, people from Congress, political, you name it, feel about providers. that the providers are that same way. That as soon as net neutrality gets legalized, becomes law, if you will, which a lot of people are hoping for, or is voted in within next year's elections, that's how they look as an example at what the providers will be. They'll be like McMichael or Deborah at that time. They'll try to kiss up and say, oh, we knew net neutrality was going to stay. We knew it was going to remain. And a lot of us as consumers, and a lot of the people, the ALCU, the Congress people, people of Congress, representatives, the two ladies of the FCC that were against it, all of them are going to be like, we ain't buying what you're saying. We don't believe you. You're only trying to say that because you want to side with the winning side. Guess what? You lost. You lost fair and square. You lost in a court of law, fair and square. You lost to Congress. You lost in the House of in the Congress House and the House of Representatives, fair and square. You lost in voting, fair and square. So we ain't dealing with you anymore. You're done. We're done with you. You know, you may be our provider, but we ain't believing a word you say anymore. And that's how a lot of people will view this. That they are basically going to be like, hey, we are not, that when this all comes to a head and this all comes to a climax, that's how a lot of people are viewing it. They are viewing it as basically being in the fact that, yes, we will win in the end because there's a lot of evidence that's going to go against this decision. They pretty much know that. And they pretty much know that providers will either extend their agreements depending on what the decision will be to make sure, hey, what side are we going to be on as far as victories go? So that once, let's say the victory does go in our favor, and it will, they'll be able to try to kiss up to us. Nobody's going to buy it anymore. You see, the only way people are going to even believe a word providers say anymore, if we're even going to believe anything that Pai and his two fellow Republicans said today anymore, or at all, is if they prove us wrong by staying committed to what they say and not just blowing us a bunch of smoke. If they can say, hey, if they can prove to us, hey, nothing's going to happen. Don't worry, nothing. Pay prioritizations, all this stuff that you're worried about. Guess what? It's not going to happen. Here's the proof. Here's the proof right in front of you. We told you it was not going to happen. We proved to you what we said was true. If they could find a way to prove to us that what they're saying is correct and what they're saying is true and stand by it, then hey, maybe we were wrong. But unless they give us evidence right off the bat that none of our providers, Time Warner, Comcast, CenturyLink, Charter, you name it, AT&T, unless they can prove to us, then nothing is going to happen. Then nothing is going to ruin the internet. And they're still able to provide what they say and the innovations and all that are still being able to be provided. In the end, if they can prove to us that nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to get throttled, nothing's going to get blacked out, nothing's going to get slowed down, they can prove to us that none of that's going to happen. If they can give us a major shred of evidence that nothing's going to happen, then guess what? We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But until then, they better be ready for a long, long battle in court. They better be ready for the fight of their lives, and they better be ready to bring up legit, valid reasons as to why this new order, this restore internet open order or internet freedom order is necessary. Because I guarantee you, the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court and the Congress and the House of Representatives are not going to be happy that they got to take time away from other decisions they're making or other important matters they got to focus on this. They're going to want legit reasoning. And you know what's going to happen? They're either Pai and his group are going to have to prove that what they've said is true and stick by it, or They may just start to concede and backpedal because they're going to realize that, yeah, they, like I said, they won the battle, but they're going to realize that as soon as they step in that courtroom, or whatever place or arena where these proceedings will take place and occur, they're going to realize the moment they step in there, they've lost the war. And they know that. They're going to realize that in the long run. They're going to be like, oh crap, we have lost the war. Or the moment they step in there, unless they have a legit reasoning, unless they have a major shred of evidence that everything they said today is fact. Everything they said today is true. I was checking something there. But they're going to need to have a major shred of evidence on their side. Because if they don't prove everything they said is truth today, if they don't stand by what they said today, then they're pretty much screwed over. I mean, everything presented by the two ladies pretty much is going to go against them. Now, yes, a lot of people have said, don't worry, this was only a vote to repel the internet or repel net neutrality. Nothing more. Yeah, it was a vote to start the process to repel it, but that's as far as it's going to get. Because, it's like they said, one of the things that could be hurt is small businesses. My brother-in-law owned the pressure washing business. Do you think he's going to like the fact that, let's say this all becomes reality, that his business is going to get affected and it's going to be hurt? You think he's going to like that? No, he's going to hate it. You think my other brother-in-law who works in Sacramento is going to like the fact that his business, major business, major size corporational business or whatever, I think what is it, a meat packing business or whatever? Do you think he's going to like the fact that and he's one of the managers there? Do you think he and the other managers are going to like the fact that why is our business suffering? Why can't we get on the internet or stuff like that? Do you think they're going to like the fact that they may have to pay out just to get the internet at a decent speed for their business to succeed? No, they're not. The thing is, and here, look at this. Look, you see this? See this? See his name here? You see his business name? Huh? See his business name? Huh? Walmart. Walmart is one of the major retail corporations in the world. But even they, I think, have been on the side of keeping net neutrality. Because you think anybody that shops at Walmart or even shops online at walmart.com, you think they're going to like the fact that there's a possibility that their speed could get throttled or Walmart is not going to be available to them unless it's in a package? You think my company's going to like that? Hell no. Hell no. My company ain't going to like that. They ain't going to like the fact that, wait a minute, why are you slowing us down? We need to provide this for the people. Or why are you putting this in this shopping service package? What's the deal? They ain't going to like that. Because what that's going to do is affect us financially to the point that it'll trickle down to the point that people like me may end up being laid off. All because our company has to spend extra dollars just to have a decent internet speed for Walmart.com. Same with people that work at Target. Same people that work at Safeway, SaveMart. Think they're going to like that? No, they're not. And that's why you have people against this. That's why you have the ladies pour out their hearts the way they did and bring up the actual evidence that is needed on this nationwide, worldwide platform that they were given. Because they know what's happening is wrong. They know. They know that the vote today, even though it was to start the process to repel net neutrality, was the wrong decision. They know in the end it's not going to succeed. They know in the end it's not going to succeed. They know that. I mean, one of the major reasons, let's be honest, the reason they were against it was not all for the legit, truthful reasons they brought up. Those are legit reasons, no doubt. But they also saw what kind of a mess we're going to get into. And they smart enough to realize we shouldn't be going into this. This shouldn't even be brought up. There shouldn't be a reasoning for this to be repelled at all, because all it's going to do is lead us into another legal mess, just like a year or two ago. And I think one of the ladies brought that up, and how when it was brought up, when this was brought to the courts or brought into a similar situation a year ago or so, the result was nothing happened. Happened. Nothing happened because the result was nothing happened to net neutrality because the courts sided with the evidence presented to them. Congress sided with the evidence presented to them. And that's what's going to happen again. Now, a lot of people are saying, don't worry, nothing's going to really take effect for another year or so. And that's true. And that's where the silver lining, the light at the end of the tunnel is. Because within the next 3 months, and if overall the next 9 months, it's going to be very telling. You can't tell me that after the first of the year, everybody that's against what happened today ain't going to be jumping on the legal bandwagon and going straight to the Court of Appeals, Congress, the Supreme Court to get this reversed, because they are. And you know what's going to happen? The reversal is going to occur and become a reality. And Archie Pie, he's going to have to come out during a meeting one day when, let's say, the reversal happens, and he's going to have to admit defeat. He's going to have to say, look, he probably won't backpedal on his decision of saying, hey, I'm not going to, he may not come out and say, hey, I was wrong about going in this direction, but he will admit defeat. He might have to say, look, maybe I acted too soon. Yeah, you did, IG Pie, you did act too soon. And what you've done is pretty much start a legal battle and a legal war that you cannot win. You know, if you watch boxing, if a match goes for 12 rounds, people are impressed because both competitors brought their A game, and only one can win by decision, by unanimous decision, or by split decision, or whatever, or technical knockout if one of the competitors can't go any further. But you get the idea. They go to 12 rounds, they're surprised, they're impressed, but only one can win. One can only win by unanimous decision or split decision by showing the most, by judge's decision, showing the most impressive set of moves and combativeness in the match or in that battle. Same with the UFC. If somebody can go 3 rounds, if both competitors can go 3 rounds, and it's up to the judges to decide, then the competitor that was the most impressive, had the most offense thrown in and all that, and defense given, is going to be declared the winner. The point is, that's how this is going to happen. It's like a UFC UFC match and a boxing match. They're going to go probably the distance, and in the end, the decision that's made in that 5th and final round, or that 12th and final round, it's going to go to decide that lasted the longest, that showed the most offense and gave the best defense. And right now, today, we, the people that fought against this, the ladies that fought for us in this decision, the corporations, the online services, and all that, we won we won the round with best defense. We won the first round with best defense. Well, we split the first round because we won it with best defense. RG Pi and his group won it with best offense, in their opinion. But in the end, are they going to last? Are they going to last the majority of the 5 rounds or 12 rounds, depending on how you look at it from that kind of a perspective? Are they going to survive? Will they make it all the way, or will they get knocked out or technically knocked out before they hit that final round? That's what the next 3 to 9 months is about. That's what it is. So it is, folks. That's what it is. And you know what? I wouldn't put it past providers. And you know what this is? You know what I feel thinking about this? I wouldn't put it past internet providers. I wouldn't put it past them to try to keep things the way they are. They may, as THR has reported, they may try to subtly, very subtly, they may very subtly try to invoke changes, not noticeable, but they'll try to subtly, if not noticeably, invoke changes, very small, petite changes here and there, or at least attempt to. But in the end, what's going to happen is they're going to fail. They're going to fail in doing that because people will notice. But what's going to really happen is they know that this is going to end up in court. It's going to end up in court in a very long legal battle that they, the ISP providers, whether it's Comcast, Time Warner, AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, Charter, they know that they're going to be involved in. And it's a battle they know it's going to be long and hard, and it's going to prevent them from taking any course of action, even after the agreements are made. And that's when you know, if they start extending the agreements, that they know they're about to lose. But you know what? We may have lost this round, but the internet's not dead. The internet's still alive, still very much alive. It will stay alive. And anybody that has any fears of tomorrow being when the changes occur, that's not going to happen. Because I will give them credit. I will give one of those Republican guys credit in saying that nothing will change tomorrow. But you know what? You can't blame people. You can't blame people for fearing the worst. You can't. You can't blame them for fearing the worst because we're in a society today that pretty much a lot of corporations, businessmen and women, are pretty much two-faced. Yeah. They're pretty much two-faced. In other words, they'll say one thing, but then they'll turn the other cheek and say another, or do another. They may say, oh, we'll never do this. We'll never charge an additional $5 for gas. We'll never raise the prices. It's like a gas company saying, oh, we'll never raise the prices of unleaded gas from $2.99 or $2.50. We'll never raise it. And then all of a sudden, those companies the next day or the next week decide, oh, we've decided to raise it about $50 or 50 cents. You can't trust anybody. You can't. It's very hard for people to trust us at Walmart. It is. Because one of our jobs, mostly as cashiers, is to get people to apply for a credit card. They won't do it. The majority of the time, unless we're very persuasive, and very convincing, or unless maybe they feel, hey, sounds good to me, I can save $35. Only then will we be able to, get them to, apply for a credit card. But a majority of the time, people won't. We'll be very fortunate if on a good day to reach our goal of 15 or 16 credit cards. But a majority of the time, I'll be honest, we barely hit 50 for the whole week. Because if we're supposed to hit like 15 a day, 15, 30, 35, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, our goal basically is to hit essentially 90 or 105 credit cards for the whole week. We barely hit half that. That's the truth. Because nobody trusts us. Nobody trust us when we say, "Oh, this is going to help you." Because they look at Walmart the same way they look at Target. When Target does the same thing, they don't believe it. They don't believe it unless the evidence is given to them in a positive light. Unless we can provide them with the truth that, hey, nothing's really going to happen if you apply for the credit card and you get approved. Nothing is going to be added on to your interest rate or stuff like that. They don't believe us because they look at the corporation that we work for as being two-faced. That's why that's why you can't blame people. That's why you can't blame the corporations. When you can't blame the corporations that are against this. You can't blame Netflix, Amazon, Hulu. You can't blame YouTube. You can't blame Facebook. You can't blame the small and medium and upcoming businesses. You can't blame the major established businesses like Walmart or Target or Sears or J.C. Penney's or Macy's or whatever. You can't blame them for being against this. You can't blame the ALCU. You can't blame the Internet Association. You can't blame the pioneers of the World Wide Web and the Internet itself. You can't blame them for being afraid. You can't blame them for looking at the facts that they know are true about what's going to happen. You can't blame them for not believing a word that IG or the two Republicans or the ISP providers they've given power to or attempting to give power to say. Because they know they may say one thing, but they'll turn the other cheek and do another or do the exact opposite. You cannot blame people for being afraid. That's why, unless IG and his two fellow Republicans and his team and the ISP providers that they've given this shot to, unless they can prove us wrong and say, hey, we told you nothing was in the next few months and say, hey, look, we told you nothing was going to happen, fine. If they can prove it to us within the next year before the next before next year's election. If they can prove us wrong there and say, hey, look, see, nothing really happened. There's no pay prioritizations, nothing, no service packages, nothing, and fine. But you know what? They're gonna have a hard time doing so. They're gonna have a hard time proving the points in court, Congress, because a lot of the evidence is going to go against them. Especially the fact that they ignored what Congress had to say, what members of Congress had to tell them, and asking them to delay this vote. They better have a legit, good reasoning in the end. They better. Because I will say this. I will say this. I will say this. If they don't give a legit reason, like I said, as to why this is a good decision, And they know pretty much, and I'm guaranteeing you right now, they pretty much know this already. Going back to their offices or going to the cars to drive off for brunch or whatever, lunch, whatever they do. I can guarantee you almost that they regret what they've done. They know, they know they just stepped in it, folks. They know it. I mean, yes, they'll be able to say, without a shadow of a doubt, they'll be able to say, hey, we were the first historically to pass a vote to repeal net neutrality and take Title II back to Title I. They may be able to be they may be able to be the first to say that. They may be able to be the first to say that, but yeah, Tommy the guy, you're right. We've lost this battle, this round, but we haven't lost the war. The truth is, folks, Occupy knows he screwed up. He may not come out and publicly admit it, but in the end, he's going to. I just hope he's ready for a long, long battle. Because the way I look at it, and I said it before, I'll say it again. Nothing's going to change with the internet for right now. And if you have Comcast as your provider, you don't have to worry unless you don't have to worry until September of next year. If you have AT&T or Verizon or whoever as your provider, you probably don't have to worry about that until at least next year, somewhat next year, or maybe the following years. You don't have to worry. Because a lot of people have said this, that it's gonna take years for a lot of this to be rolled out if it becomes a reality. But you know what? I doubt it's gonna even make it to a year. I don't know why, but I almost feel that when it comes to September, if not before that, that we're going to get an early Christmas gift next year. And that early Christmas gift is Congress or the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court vetoing this decision and reversing it as well. You already have Senator McCarthy getting ready to present a congressional act to save the internet, to save net neutrality and reverse this decision. So now, and that's a positive, that's a good thing to hear. The truth is, folks, we may have lost net neutrality's Repel may have been passed, but it's not the end of the. It's like the title says, it's not the end of the internet. And as I said before, and I'll say again, we will win in the end. We will, because there's too much evidence. There's too much freaking evidence that's going to go against Pi's voting today. Now, yes, as one person said on Twitter, we shouldn't freak out. Like a lot of people have said, we shouldn't freak out because it's just a vote. It's nothing. Nothing's really going to come of it yet, because it has to go through federal registration, whatever. But like I said, keep an eye on the next 3 months. Keep an eye on the next 9 months in the next 9 months altogether. That's going to be the telling tale. Because like I said, it'll be just like a UFC or boxing match. Both sides going to battle. Who's going to make it? Will both sides go into battle? And in the end, only one can win, either by decision, by judge's decision, or by knockout. That's what's going to happen. So, really, that's all I could say on the subject right now. Let me know what you guys think down below. In fact, you already have been doing that. Thank you very much. How can it affect foreigners? One person is that Daniel. You asking me? Real simple. The way it can affect foreigners, well, just put it this way. You like YouTube, right? Imagine what happens if you can't access it. Yeah. Imagine if you find out that you have to pay for it now, just like America does. That might answer your question. Because like I said, there will be lots of governments around the world that if this becomes reality, if this becomes full on reality, there'll be a lot of governments that will be considering doing the same thing. From Canada, Mexico, Europe, you name it. You think you have good, decent internet now? If this becomes reality, don't be surprised if your other world governments decide to go in the same direction. I'm just saying. But really, that's all I'm going to say on it, folks. I leave it up to God. I leave it in the Lord's hands because He's going to do the right thing. He sees what's going on. He knows what was the decision made today was wrong. It was bad. But as my mom said, He has a reason for it occurring, and that reasoning, whatever it may be, is going to favor us, and we know it. He knows it. So all we have to do is pray and give it to Him. And you know what? I'm living proof of miracles happening. You know, because I was born when I was a child. When I was 2, I was diagnosed with Hirschsprung's disease. It almost killed me, but the grace of God and the Lord Himself, sitting in between in a seat in between my mom and my dad, comforting them and saying things are going to be all right. I sit before you right now today as living proof. Miracles can happen. And when you have a guardian angel in disguise of a striped nurse lady telling your mother things are going to be good, you may have a long, hard road with this one, but it will turn out in the end. Everything will turn out all right in the end. And then nobody's ever heard of her. And then when you ask about her and nobody's heard of her, and you know that was an angel sent to you by the Lord, just proves miracles can happen. Just think about that, folks. Think about that. So that's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think overall down below. Thank you all for watching in and tuning in live. Thank you all for watching post live. Let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll talk to you all later. You have a good and blessed day. I am out. I'm going to get me some lunch right now or something to eat because pretty much this took a lot out of me, folks. But yeah, we may have lost this round. The Repel may have been passed, but we're still going to win in the end. It's not the end of the internet. We're still going to win in the end. I truly believe that. So that's all I'm going to say, folks. Thank you all for watching live, and God bless. Take care. You have a blessed afternoon, a blessed Thursday as well. I'm out.